Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday with the 17th episode of HeleCloud Talks Cloud. Um, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, or in some places it's a week, but let's face it, it needs a full month. And as you can see, we started off with something very benign. Michael saying Michael Friedrich, comma, GitLab, and then Adric was like, I want to put my company name in my name as well, but he added a different character, and then I said it's bothering me a little bit, so everyone started changing the character between their name and their company name, and this is why it's Lina OCD, although I don't actually have OCD, but my therapist told me I'm a little bit anal. So back to cloud news. We have a number of interesting topics today. My favorite one is how Cloudflare is suggesting an end to the CAPTCHA madness, where they're suggesting a solution which is going to use a device ID, which a machine can't have. And it's based on USB security keys like YubiKeys. And right now it's in beta testing mode, and it's only available on a few systems and websites. But if it works out, we might just well stop looking for the traffic lights and the number of pictures and failing because we're human and we can't scan as well as robots.
Yes, I tried using a YubiKey quite a while ago, but then I'm a mess, and I've kept forgetting it in places, and then being locked out of my own devices because I didn't have my YubiKey with me. Now I'm using one that's actually from a while ago. We had to sign some European Union documents, and needed to go through the trouble of getting a personalized cryptographic USB token, and I'll spare you the details. It was a 3-month process to get one. It's registered to me, and I have some kind of European identity now, and it's sitting in my laptop here, but only because I haven't moved the laptop for a year because I haven't gone anywhere, and yeah. If they can use so that the article says that maybe it's it'll be possible to do it with phones, and that would be great because then you can actually have a device that you have on you anyway, always, as a sort of two-factor authentication situation.
Yeah.
Michael, you were saying that that GitLab you're also looking at, or you would be happy to get rid of CAPTCHA.
Yeah, so we kind of have the problem that reCAPTCHA works and it's a reliable solution, but there are also alternatives. And with reCAPTCHA, you also have like the problem you have proprietary code around, which means it would be interesting for those who just want to run free open source code with GitLab open source, for example, that they can use a spam prevention method, but not necessarily tied to reCAPTCHA. And there's HCAPTCHA, there are different implementations around. One major problem is, I've seen that myself when running community forums or something like that, there are people actually getting paid off hacking the reCAPTCHAs, and then you get spammed anyway. So I'm looking forward to a different method than just reCAPTCHA and solving a puzzle, or me clicking on what is a bike, what is a boat pictures all the time. Having it in a more like reliable way, be it either a token or something else. So yeah, it's a hot topic. It's an interesting topic. I think the only problem is we cannot immediately change it, but we need to like test drive it, battle test it, and then see how things are going.
In the Netherlands, we have your national identity is your national digital identity is called DigiD, and what they've done is actually quite interesting. So you have a DigiD app on your phone. And then you use that app to authenticate yourself with dozens of online government services. and it spreads really all the way from municipalities to ministries to IND to a whole bunch
tax
of
system.
And there's a lot to complain about in the Netherlands, but that's actually one of the things that's done quite nicely.
Isn't it like an electronic signature then? Because that's what works in Bulgaria for the same things, except you have to go and buy it.
No, it's quite interesting because you go to the website that you want to log into, then you click the button, then it goes to DigiD. You have to open the app on your phone where you get a notification. You click that, and then you go back to the and then on your web browser you automatically get signed into the place that you were trying to sign into. It works relatively smooth. Except
the user experience is actually quite good at the DigiD, and the good thing about it is that it integrates quite well. Also on the backend side, it integrates quite well with the other governmental services. Like there's like one. We all have like one in the United States, they call it a security number, and then in the Netherlands they have another number, another definition for it. And the user experience and the customer journey in it is, it's quite smooth. Where they know you as, they know which taxes are open, or if you have any compensation you need to get from the government, and it's like one overview for you as a citizen and all the interaction you have or you have been having with the government, with the Dutch government, to be more specific.
Back to the Cloudflare suggestion, though, do you think that it's just a matter of time before they hack the proposed solution and it becomes compromised? If it's just the idea of a device, can't you cheat it and basically have a spammer on one device using one device ID and providing it in an automated fashion? Or is it because it's a two-factor authentication?
Yeah, you will see all kinds of over time things becoming less secure, just like the password. The reason we have CAPTCHA now is, don't forget that we first had username and passwords, and then they thought we had a third security layer, which would be CAPTCHA. Hey, which click on the bridge or click on the cars or the traffic lights. But from regarding the user experience, that it's not always very, very good, because how many times have we been clicking on the refresh button? And what I expect is that this type of security layer is also going to be another one where it's actually every security layer is at the same time also a vector attack where things are, we're going to try to crack it either way. It's more the human behavior that's never going to change when it comes to security. So in that case, I expect it to be plain old SMS is also one very good mechanism of defense. Sometimes when you forgot your authenticator, you can click on an alternative method to extra authenticate yourself, and then say, hey, we can send you an SMS. Like, hey, I thought we are using all kinds of apps nowadays to avoid the use of SMS, but it's so cool to see that the SMS actually reinvented itself.
Speaking of forgetting to authenticate, Walter, did you notice that I didn't actually present our two guests in the beginning of the show?
Nice bridge.
So we have Michael from GitLab, who's a longtime friend of Walter, and we have Adric Walter, who has his own company called Walturians, where Walter secretly wants to work, but he can't pass the interviews. Can you, Walter?
Yes, I like the amount of Walter in this call. It's
exactly
good.
So, Adric, do you want to say something about you and your company, and then we'll have Michael say a few words?
Well, you want the official introduction or the funny one?
The funny one.
Yeah, you should always have two types of introduction: the funny one and the official one. And you need to use them, like when you meet someone who's very official, you say,
We're not.
No. Okay. No, let's keep the funny things aside. Yeah, Adric Walter, been doing cloud, all types of cloud projects in the last 8 to 10 years. I'm mainly nowadays into cloud integration and cybersecurity. These are my two main focus. The company Walterians is like you can see my last name is Walter, not just like Walter. And then you see the IO from input output, the 1 and the 0 and an ion, just to make it sound more fluent. I thought we make it Walterians.
Like minions, but
minions, Walterians. Yes, yeah. So that's the funny. Yeah.
Are you fighting?
That's a funny introduction.
Or are you are you despicable or not? Is what I'm asking.
Maybe.
Okay. Michael, are you despicable?
I don't have minions around. I do love building Lego models, which you can see in my background, probably.
Nice.
It's the Millennium Falcon, but everything around it. So I got a lot of swag, and I do love working at GitLab, as you probably can also see in my background. The thing is, I got adjusted to all remote, I think 2 weeks before everyone went all remote in March 2020. So when I started my journey, it was, I need to get like a big screen and I need to get a webcam and everything else. And then you're opening up Amazon and it was like, it's expensive or it's not even deliverable. So I joined GitLab because I've always wanted to go on like meeting everyone all over the world, working with everyone. And I was a past Git and GitLab trainer. Originally, I'm coming from maintaining an open source monitoring tool for the past 10 or 11 years. And now I'm a developer evangelist, which means I'm not coding so much anymore, but still I'm involved in everything CI/CD, ops, SRE, observability. I'm hosting a weekly coffee chat, technology coffee chat. Everyone can contribute cafe, where we are doing similar things like we're doing today. We try software, we try cloud native, Kubernetes, Prometheus, whatever. Oftentimes it breaks live, which is fun to fix. And sometimes we extend the 1 hour to maybe 2 hours in the live stream. But yeah, it's super fun, and I'm here to help and engage with everyone and learn new things.
Nice.
Awesome.
Good one.
Very awesome.
Walter, back to the show. What's our next topic?
The next topic is actually Michael's topic. There's a conference this week, and at the conference they announced the OpenSLO specification, and it's quite interesting. Let me post the link here.
Yeah, so the SLO means service level objective. This is coming from service level agreement and availability, and also service level indicators. So this is like a new way of defining things you want to agree upon, that your service is running and your customers are satisfied. And oftentimes when you're doing like monitoring and observability and being an SRE, you need to define those objectives, and this needs a descriptive language. Everyone does it differently. So for example, for Prometheus, you need to generate YAML configuration for the alert manager, and then checking whether the memory usage has a certain limit, and if it's over that, you fail the SLO and later on the SLA. And this week, the first SLO conf was done in an async remote fashion, and during the conference, the OpenSLO specification was announced, which means it should be an open vendor neutral specification. One of the main drivers are Noble9, who are providing an SLO service or as an SLO integrated product. Dynatrace is also involved. GitLab in a part of that, Andrew Newdigate, one of our infrastructure engineers, is a core contributor to the specification. And I think it's a great way to find a common sense or a common specification, because it's easier to sell it internally to your users, but also to your customers, and saying, hey, we have a specification to follow for SLOs. And it's easier to bring in systems like we've been discussing CI/CD with quality gates, so you don't deploy anything to production which doesn't meet the SLO, which could be a load performance test, for instance. And as a developer, you could be using, for example, Captain with Prometheus then, and when the memory exceeds a certain amount of numbers in a specific amount of time, your code never reaches production. So the merge request or pull request gets blocked, and this is you can build it actually, but it's a little bit complicated right now from my understanding, and I'm looking forward to have it integrated automatically, and as a developer you code and then it says SLO failed. So why? Oh, I need to fix the memory. Probably should optimize my code, and it's
throw more hardware at it. Be a proper Java developer.
Yeah, or maybe
gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of RAM. Yeah, it works now.
Yeah, and then you're looking at your AWS bill, and then it's like, maybe I should optimize that. But we could ask Corey about that.
Nice.
You just wheel in an expensive consultancy, and we'll fix your problem and we'll scale you back down to 128. Cut your bill in half.
It's probably what you're doing at HeleCloud as well. So yeah, we can agree on that a little bit. We are optimizing it, but we are leaving room for consultancy.
I think it's one of the in a little bit more serious. It's one of the top questions we get is can we bring the costs down, because so many people adopt data center style thinking in public cloud, and then very often even the most simple things of hey, how about you turn off your developer environments over the weekend or at night are very simple steps that you can take. And very often those haven't been taken, and then people are surprised at how you can reduce their bill. Okay, that wasn't.
To be fair, if you reserve instances or have a cost savings plan, you save more than if you stop instances. And if you have already reserved or purchased a savings plan, you don't need to stop those instances. And you still need to fix that application so that it runs in a more intelligent way. And we actually do that as a service. We had one customer for whom we brought down the memory usage from 40 to 4 gigabytes of memory. I can't wrap my head around it.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I did a lot of MySQL consulting, and people always ask, what can you tune about MySQL? And it's very simple. You go to the developers and ask them to fix their queries. All you need to do is monitor the query
Optimize
load.
the queries, yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. 90% of the work in database tuning is all in optimizing the heaviest queries.
Yeah, I remember with Oracle, one of the biggest shocks for me was when you have a composite index where the index consists of a number of columns, and you have to have these columns in the exact same order in your query. Otherwise, the index isn't used.
Yeah, that's lovely memories from my past. And also if you're using an object relational model, an ORM, which generates the queries for you, and sometimes there's a double join and you're hitting the temp tables. So yeah, it's interesting debug stories.
Yeah, but it also has to do with your type of architecture you're doing. Like if you build a super big monolith where things are eating a lot of memory or whatever other resource you're using, that's why you can move better to micro or to nano services, where you can have some mini services running, and that scales and runs in a couple of seconds and then it turns off. This
really
type
like
of architecture.
I really like how GitLab has done it, that you can run as a monolith on a single instance, but you can also pull everything out and do a version of microservices where you just have a bunch of different things running on different machines or different services. And
Yes.
this really creates a nice balance between those two things.
Yeah. True.
Our next topic is a bit more political, but very interesting to see AWS take a political stance, because that's not something they very often do. Amazon put in place a ban on for the US police force about a year ago to ban them from using recognition with a K. That's the facial recognition software that Amazon offers, now they instead of letting the ban expire, they extended it to be indefinite, and I think that's quite interesting to see Amazon take a political stance, because traditionally they've stayed away from pretty much any political statements like that. So I'm happy to see that. I think it raises questions on what else they should not be doing, but yeah, that's obviously a slippery slope.
Yeah.
It was I ran before joining HeleCloud. I ran a business for a decade, and it was by consistently the most difficult question to ask. Sometimes we would get business where it'd be like, should we engage in this with this company or not? There isn't anything wrong on the surface, but you can also not guarantee that something isn't wrong. How do we deal with that? And yeah, I'm quite an ethical person, so I always found it really difficult to decide whether or not it was okay to engage with companies. And
flexible. But anyway, speaking about what Amazon did right, Corey Quinn has a few words on what it should be doing even better in the new CEO onboarding at AWS article that he posted. I'm posting it in the chat. Where he's pretending to onboard Adam Slipsky back in AWS. The first one is, what the hell is up with compensation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have too much of an opinion about it. I think that no one in the tech industry should be complaining about the amount of money they're making. But if you compare it to other tech companies, it's a bit off. But I like the article. Corey Quinn, if you're not following him, you should. He tweets all the time, quite funny, but at the same time also quite serious. He has very insightful things to say. And this newsletter, Last Week in AWS, it's one of the newsletters I'd recommend people to sign up for, especially if you're in the public cloud space. It's the news that you should be reading instead of the standard stuff that's coming out of AWS announcements. Instead, read Last Week in AWS, and it gives you a good overview of the entire industry. And this newsletter is, or this week's blog post is no different. He points at a couple of very serious things that AWS could and should be doing better. Two of the biggest ones are the user experience across the console, which is not a united experience. So different parts of AWS have different experiences across the console. And the other one is what was it again? So billing across all services, because billing UX is also a let's say less than pleasant experience. If you open and have a AWS bill, it has like 400 lines of mostly zero amounts or almost zero amounts, and making sense of it is quite difficult.
I concur.
Yeah.
I think though, when you start seeing companies that whose core business it is to deal with AWS billing, it's a good indication that something's off in your in your billing strategy.
So, Michael, if you were onboarding the new CEO of AWS, what would be on your wish list?
Probably, since we are all remote and I'm enjoying everything, I would ask him to ensure that everyone can work from anywhere in the world where they like to. I know that this can be hard, and if you're following in a hybrid approach or something else, but I think at a certain point, avoiding commute and ensuring well-being with flexible hours is the way forward. And probably unrelated to what results or how efficient you're working, I think this is one of the unspoken benefits in the world, and I think this would be my greatest wish for onboarding a new CEO. Probably not the answer you're expecting, but this is one at the top of my head currently. It's
Good one. I like it. I am a little bit worried every time we talk about going full remote that we're going to get all of us super fat, like the people in the movie Wall-E, where they were being carted in, and they didn't walk or move in any way. So we're like constantly on the computer and just slurping our food because we're too lazy to even chew. But I don't like the commute either. So, Adric, what would you ask the new AWS CEO to do?
What I would like to ask him is how can we push more on the education from younger kids, and also there's a specific niche in the education is with like the women in tech. How can we promote on this hashtag? And how you, I mean, if you're a CEO of such a big part of one of the largest companies on earth, what is going to be your social responsibility when it comes to the tech education, especially when we have seen the other article about artificial intelligence, because it brings some ethical aspects to the equation. So I would ask, what would be your vision to develop a more responsible way in the implementation of technology, since we're seeing that there's more AI coming into the space?
Yep.
That's a very good answer as well. Guys, you surprised me. You should be writing blog posts, not Corey Quinn. Like, you're out of the box so much.
Yeah.
By the way, our last news article that we wanted to just
wait before you go.
No,
continue. Because on Adric's comments, actually there's an event coming up. I'm posting it in the chat now. AWS is throwing an event, She Builds Day, and nice. I think it's super cool. It's an event where some of the great women in Amazon are talking about the things that they are doing. And awesome. When I was thinking about it, I rarely meet companies that have that many females working for them that are in pretty high positions, and there are so many smart women in AWS, and I really wish that would, as you say, they have a sort of social responsibility to show that this should be the norm.
Quite nice event, I can see. Yeah.
That's really good. I'm glad I let you finish, Walter.
I thought you were going to like it.
Yes, I do. And now what I wanted to say was that Terraform is bringing some new functionalities in the new version. They're going to have default access in the Terraform AWS provider, which is, I just wanted to mention quickly, because it is going to make a lot of things easier for a lot of people, because tags play a big role in both cost and security governance. And the easier it is to implement them, the better.
Yeah, and traditionally tags in Terraform have been a bit of a disaster. So making sure that everything that gets deployed has a tag on it is a less than great experience. So having that built into the at least the AWS provider is something very welcome.
Nice. Looks cool.
We have reached 9:30. I want to just touch on the last topic that we have, which is Freenode imploding. I will refrain from making any political statements about it because I don't really want to get down in the weeds, but I wanted to mention it on the show because personally, I've spent more than 0 hours on IRC. Almost all of which on Freenode, and there's so much knowledge sitting on those IRC channels. So many people who poured countless hours into it, and it's not like IRC is all of a sudden disappearing. But what I can see is that disintegration of such community hubs, because it's basically a hub for many communities, rarely is any good for the end user, because now all of those communities, some will stay, some will move somewhere else, and you get a fragmentation of the ecosystem, and that's not good for anyone.
Yeah.
Rip.
Yeah, I think, and to Walter's point, having access to multiple communities in one single place is like a great asset. And with the shift of every ecosystem or every product building their own platforms, you need to catch up on many things, like reading lots of forums, reading 10,000 of Slack channels, or using a different method of like Gitter, metrics, Discord, something around that. And then the question is, if you need to move from IRC to something else, will the community move on? And like, can you make it happen to say, hey, I'm writing a guide how to join Discord, because you need an invite for that. I've spent quite a while in IRC. I think I've stopped using it because it was a time sink, and I'm preferring like asynchronous community support. Same problem with Slack, to be honest. But yeah, I'm not sure what will happen now, especially with it's not clear what happens in the background. So it seems you need to like digest a lot of information, and you cannot really say that one side is right and the others are not. But the communities are, I think, heavily impacted, and one of them it would probably be the Alpine community, which is the small base image for our Docker containers of our build systems. So yeah, I'm hoping the best. And not sure.
Yeah, it's incredible. This is one of the things that I'm quite used to at the inception of the World Wide Web. Just it falls into the category like Yahoo and also Amazon. Maybe even Amazon is a bit younger than Freenode. So the era of Netscape and modems where you would call in and hear this funny bleep. So yeah, this thing goes way back.
It is what it is. Over time, I think the capital mistake was when the entity got sold to believe a promise, which I 100% believe was an honest promise. But one of the things that not enough people realize is that You can make an honest-to-God promise to someone at a point in time, and then it turns out the world keeps turning, and several years later, it turns out that the original promise cannot be kept, and then you shouldn't be surprised about it, because promises in words mean, unfortunately, quite little if they're not backed up in legal obligations, at least in the business world. And I've learned this lesson over and over the years, but it's a really important one. No matter how friendly you are with someone, if you make an agreement on something, you better put it in paper, so that it's clear for everyone.
And our time is up. I just want to say that statistically, because I have graduated in psychology, statistically people are more likely to honor a handshake deal, but if when you know there are consequences because of the paper you signed, then that's a different story, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, our time is up, and we had a really great conversation. So thank you very much, Michael and Adric, for being with us. We generally give our guests 2 minutes to promote ideas that they hold dear or themselves. So, Michael, you want to go first?
Yeah, thanks. I want to encourage everyone to look into SLOs, continuous delivery, or CI/CD, chaos engineering, and when the time is up this year, look into how you can ensure that you're not sitting in front of the computer all the time with a remote. Go out, find a way to move around, distract your mind, maybe start building Lego models. And yeah, that's about it, what I would like to encourage you. Adric?
Thank you, Michael. I also want to actually elaborate a little bit on what you just said. Adopt the DevSecOps mindset, building things. Everything is actually becoming infrastructure as code. Reassure you can deploy quickly to things. And maybe I didn't tell you guys, but today I'm calling from the island of Curacao in the South Caribbean. So when things open up, don't forget also to get some relaxation. Maybe you can come and visit us over here. We have beautiful beaches, but we are also becoming a very tech innovative entrepreneurial island. I'm also in a few task forces that are actually working on changing the narrative. Oh, come to our beaches and our great food. We are going to change it, and we are coming and becoming actually a technological innovative island where you can come and work remotely. We are deploying a quite red carpet for digital nomads, and yeah, I mean, I would say come over here. We start building cool things in the tech space, and yeah, thanks for the opportunity. It has been very great to be with you guys and enjoying. I thought we would go longer, but if I keep on talking, of course we will go longer.
We can totally make it longer, no problem.
Yeah, it's generally half an hour, but I don't think we've ever finished a show in exactly half an hour. If we finish in exactly half an hour, it means you don't like the guest.
So it's always, it's an extra bonus.
Yes. I do have meetings to get to, though, so I will be.
So bye, everyone. Have a good Friday, a good weekend, and go to an island to work there because it's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Technology. Have a great Friday and a great weekend, everyone. Bye from us.
Bye.
Bye.
Take good care. Bye.